Welcome back to another section of our teaching. Remember, we've talked about the year of Jubilee and the sabbatical year, and we've been able to discuss the mechanisms put forward by the Lord himself in the land of Israel to enhance the dynamics of wealth or the flow of wealth in the land of Israel, so that the poor will not complain, the stranger will not complain, the Levites will not complain. So this mechanism were put forward by the Lord himself to prevent lack in the land, to prevent lack in the land. The basic reason why this mechanism were put forward by the Lord himself is to prevent lack in the land. People should not lack. Everybody should live alive and live alive to the fullest and enjoy what the Lord has given to them in that land. Today's class or this session, we shall be looking at the tithe tradition. The tithe tradition. The tithe tradition is one also of the mechanisms put forward by the Lord himself to enhance the dynamic of wealth in the land of Israel. The tithe tradition. Things you should know quickly. I want to quickly make a brief introductory part of this session to you all, then we shall be considering vividly other areas in other sessions. Now, what is tithe? First, you should understand that tithe is not 1/10. Tithe is not 1/10, as it is usually defined by a lot of scholars or preachers or theologians. Tithe is not just 1/10, because everyone can give 1/10. And so let me help you understand this, that people have given 1/10 even before Abraham met Melchizedek. There was a fractional calculative part which is known as 1/10 that Abraham probably also have learned from somewhere, and that was why he could calculate the 1/10 from what he had to Melchizedek. He has learned that calculation from somewhere. So it points to the truth that people have been giving fractional quotations to people. People have been giving out 1/10, 2/5, 1/3, 1/4, 7/10, whatever. People have been giving out fractions of things to people. So it wasn't a new practice. The culture of calculating 1/10 from something was not new to Abraham when he gave to Melchizedek. It was a practice that was on ground. Kings were doing that. The rich were doing that. People were doing that. You have a belonging, you can share it in fractional standard and give to people. So the issue of 1/10 is not what tithe is all about. So tithe is not just 1/10, because everyone can give 1/10, but not everybody can give tithe, even in the era of the Jewish nation. Not everyone will give tithe, and you get to understand this in the course of teaching. Now, what is tithe? Since tithe, I said, is not just 1/10. What is tithe? Now, this is tithe. Tithe is a covenanted. Tithe is a covenanted or divine 1/10 of any increase or gain achieved by the Israelite. Tithe, I said, is a divine or covenanted 1/10 of any increase or gain achieved by the Israelite, given to the Lord God through the Levites, given to the Lord God through the Levites, and to be enjoyed by the Levites and the priests, the poor, which includes the orphans and the widows, and the strangers, and the givers of the tithes periodically. Tithe, I said, is a covenanted or divine 1/10 of any increase achieved by the Israelites, given to the Lord God through a Levite or through the Levites, and to be enjoyed by the Levites and the priests, the poor in the land, the strangers in the land, and the givers of the tithes themselves periodically. That is what tithe is all about. This definition of tithe will help us understand the types of tithes that we have. We have 3 types of tithes that are in the scriptures. We have 3 types of tithes mentioned in the Old Testament scriptures. They are, number 1, the Levitical tithe. Levitical tithe, number 1. Number 2, the family tithe. Number 2, the family tithe. Number 3, the poor tithe. Number 3, the poor tithe. The 3 types of tithes that we have mentioned in the scriptures by the Lord himself. God himself established these mechanisms. And here are the 3 tithes he mentioned. The Levitical tithe, number 1. 2, the family tithe. 3, the poor tithe. These are the tithes that we have in the land of Israel, and these were the tithes that they have practiced all through the time, and even in the era that Christ came, they were still doing it. Even if Christ did not pay and did not collect, and his disciples did not pay and did not collect, but the Jewish nation still carry out the Levitical tithe, the family tithe, and the poor tithe. Now we shall be considering the Levitical tithe and probably the family tithe in our next other session. But understand that tithe is not just 1/10 as people used to define it, but tithe is a covenanted or divine 1/10, a divine or covenanted 1/10 of any increase gained by an Israelite given to the Lord through the Levites, and to be enjoyed by the Levites and the priests, the poor, the strangers, and the givers of the tithe periodically. And the 3 types of tithes mentioned in the Old Testament scriptures are the Levitical tithe, the family tithe, and the poor tithe. We shall be considering the Levitical tithe in our next other session. Now, if you have a question to ask in what I've said so far in this teaching, you can forward them to me on this platform. God bless you.